ready to go.
All right, my name is Caitlin. I'm the pharmacy student in the class. I'm a second-year pharmacy student, and I'm looking to go into veterinary pharmacy. So that is part of the reason I am here, and also who doesn't love having animal physics class every day? So I'm going to talk to you today about the Sphynx. Obviously, you see Rora running around. She is a Canadian Sphynx. That's a picture of her. And then this one right here, that's Shazam. He's my other one. He's not here today because he has some health issues and stress isn't great for him. And he's nowhere near as social as Rora over there, who's just exploring, doing good. What she does best, is cause trouble. So brevity has never been my strong suit, and I tend to talk really quickly. So if I'm talking too fast or anyone has any questions, raise your hand, just let me know.
And we're going to put this on the internet,
Yes,
so they can always look at
we're
that.
recording this because one of the online communities I'm a member of, Sphynx Lair, they asked me to record it for breed education for people who find the site when they're looking to research the breed about finding and seeing if the Sphynx is the right breed for them. So there's two distinct versions of the hairless cat or the Sphynx. Most people don't know the difference. It's very, very subtle unless you know what you're looking for. The Canadian Sphynx, which is what Rora is, and they're the older ones. They originated around the 1960s in Canada, hence Canadian Sphynx. And then there's the Donskoy or the Don Sphynx, and that appeared in Russia around the 1990s. So the Canadian Sphynx comes from a recessive gene. It was a genetic mutation born of one cat, I believe his name was Prune. He was in Canada in the 1960s. He was either in Ontario or Toronto, I can't remember which one. But from him, they bred quite a few Sphynxes, and some of the kittens were hairless, some of them were not, because it is the recessive gene and it was a genetic mutation. And they also bred the Canadian Sphynx with the Devon Rex and some of the other very short-haired breeds of cats. And then along the way, some other kittens from separate lines from Prune were born hairless. So they were mixed into the group, and now we have the Canadian Sphynx. And as you can see, some of you guys have been commenting, she does have a little bit of fuzz on her, mostly it's because it's winter. So she is a little bit cold, it's Indiana, but she will lose most of that when summer comes around, most of it will fall out. But they usually have furry tails, a little bit of fuzz on their ears and on their nose, and some of them will grow patches of fur on their hips or on their shoulders. So that's a picture of a baby Canadian Sphynx. Not Rora, I wish it was. But they tend to be much more slim. She's not by the computer. They tend to be more slim and elegant, like long legs, very big ears, big eyes. Their eyes are more oval shaped, and they have just ginormous ears. Their ears are huge. So, and they also tend to have more wrinkles than the Don Sphynx for whatever reason. They are excellent jumpers. There is no place too high for a Sphynx, and they don't really care about large gaps. They'll jump large gaps also. The Canadian Sphynx is the variant of the two that's known to have more health issues, and it's believed this happened because it's a recessive gene trait. So there had to be more inbreeding. It came from one or two cats, so there's not a lot of genetic variability, and people are working with the line. So I'll be talking a little bit more about some of their predispositions later in the presentation. Now, the Don Sphynx arose in Russia around 1990, and it's a dominant hairless trait, so only one of the parents needs to have hairlessness for most, if not all, of the kittens to be hairless. They are thought to be healthier, and most people will adamantly say that the Don Sphynx is healthier, but it's still a relatively new breed that's just being classified as an official breed. So it really remains to be seen whether they have some congenital defects that haven't really become apparent or are still being attributed to the parent breed. And this is a picture of a Don Sphynx. As you can see, the typical difference is they're bigger and they're sturdier. This one right here, he's broader, and you can see his eyes are more almond-shaped than oval-shaped, and his ears are a little bit smaller. Another characteristic is their tail. It's often a lot shorter and stubbier and looks a lot more like a rat tail than a Canadian Sphynx, and it's really strong. When they whip you with that tail, you feel it. They have shorter legs, and they don't jump as well. They try, but they don't jump nearly as well as the Canadian. And their skin is smoother, and they are completely hairless. My boy, who you'll see pictures of him later, his name's Shazam, he's the black one. I believe he's a cross between a Canadian and a Don, but I don't have enough evidence to prove it. because when we got him, he was completely 100% sticky naked. But he, like when you pet him, he was sticky. And it went away as he grew up, but he has no fur anywhere on his body except his ears and his nose, so I believe he's part Don. Okay, this is just an image. It's not the best image, but it's the best I could find. The Peterbald is a Russian variation as well, but it's not discussing it as much because I don't have any knowledge of them. But here, just looking at the faces, you can see that the Canadian Sphynx is a lot more angular, and down here you can see that they're just a little bit more thinner and more elegant, for lack of a better word. And the Don is bulkier. They have more of a wedge-shaped head, and they're just bigger. And here you can see another distinct variation is the bridge of their nose. The Don has just like a gradual slope, whereas the Sphynx kind of dips in just a little bit. And it's hard to see unless you're looking at the two cats together, but I've seen comparisons online, and their behavior is completely different too. Dons tend to walk around with their eyes more closed, they're more relaxed, they're not anywhere near as hyperactive or insane as the Sphynx, but they still have their moments. So coat colors, Rora here, who's walking around, she's a red tabby. When she stands up, if you look at her legs, you can see she has the tabby coat and the tabby stripe. But they're available in a variety of colors: white, black, red, chocolate, lavender, tabby patterns, tortoiseshell, calico, bicolor, point, and mink are the official registered coat colors. And their skin is a different color based on what color their coat would be. The genetics of fur color is imprinted on the skin. So if you were to shave a tiger, it would have stripes. The Sphynxes, you can definitely tell what they are, even if they don't have any fur. Rora, you can tell is a red tabby because she has fur on her nose and tail. But even as a kitten, when she was 100% naked, you can still tell based on the color of her skin. So some examples of different colors. These are some of the various cats I've had in the past. Rora here, red tabby. This is Shazam. He's black. He would be pretty solid black if he had fur. He's got some patches that might be gray, but he's pretty solid black. This is Stashi. She was one of my first. She's a calico. So here she'd be white. This is like black, and here you can see she'd be a little bit gray. And then we named her Stashi because she had a black patch on her nose, and she looked like half a mustache. So I was 5. She was Stashi. And this up here is Ziva. She was a tortoiseshell, and so she was brown and black, and you can see the patterns on her body, how she would be mottled color like most tortoiseshells are. Hi, you're here. Yeah. And what they say, some of you might have heard about coat color varying attitude. There's no scientific evidence to prove that, but some people say that tortitude is a thing, so tortoiseshell cats tend to have attitude. 100% of the time, I guarantee you that's true. Tortoiseshells have attitude. Calicos and black cats are a lot more friendly and laid back. And then tabby breeds kind of fall somewhere in the middle. Again, don't quote me on that. There's no scientific evidence, but it's definitely, in my experience, to be true. So on owning a Sphynx, here's a couple more pictures of mine. You can see that she's very interested. She saw a bug, I think, in that picture. And he's just kind of, they're always on my bed, always in the blankets, so they're always nearby. The biggest things they score on, this is a breed characteristic chart when you're looking on what breed would fit best with you. They scored the most on friendly. So they're pet friendly, they're friendly towards strangers, as you can see, and they're very, very affectionate with their family. No shedding. They say no shedding. Maybe they can give that no stars, but they are greasy, so they kind of do have some care that they need. You'd think they'd be easy to groom because they have no hair. Part of the reason I did this presentation is I went to the vet, and the vet's daughter went and pet her and said, "Oh, that makes sense. A cat with no hair, hair is the only thing annoying about a cat." Not true. A cat with hair absolutely is easier to take care of than Sphynx. Easy to groom, they're very difficult. The 4 stars for intelligence, they're very clever, very smart, except for Rora. I think that last because of her. But, you know, they're very playful. And then general health, you can see here, they're not exactly a healthy breed. Sometimes you get lucky. A lot of the people I talk to, it's hit or miss. Either your Sphynx is completely healthy for its entire life, or they have health problems for a good portion of it. So their temperament, like I said, they're incredibly social. I had her for a week before she was sitting on my shoulder at all times. Her name was Freya, and she was actually a calico too. And then Rora, I was baking, and she couldn't be without company, and the stove was too hot, so she wouldn't stop standing on it and screaming and jumping up and down. So that made it easier. But they get into everything. They're very affectionate. As many people see, she's asking for love. She's rubbing up against you guys. You can't leave them alone for long periods of time. Now, that's something that many people don't realize. And you've heard it many times, I'm sure, if you go away on a weekend, you got a board of dogs, or someone has to come take care of it. A cat, you can leave a full bowl of water and a clean litter box and a full bowl of food, they'll be fine. Sphinxes will not. They need social interaction and they need attention so much that they suffer from pretty severe separation anxiety unless you have another animal in the house or another person. Like if I went away for a weekend, she'd be okay because I have my brother to take care of her and I have another cat, but she'd still notice very greatly that I was gone. And I thought an interesting fact, rescues that specialize in this breed ask on all of the adoption applications how long you are away from home every day, and if the animal's going to be left alone with no company, no other animal, no one in the house for more than 8 hours a day. If the answer is yes, they will not give you this cat. You need a different breed of cat. It's really, really true. And then the last statement, quiet is very suspicious. With these guys, absolutely. If they're not making some kind of noise or you don't have eyes on them, they're probably into something they shouldn't be into.
That's just like a toddler.
Yes, with a toddler, quiet is suspicious. A Sphynx is a toddler that you can't like take out with you. You gotta like baby-proof your home. So they also are very energetic. As you can see here, I wasn't paying enough attention to her, and over here you can see a little bit of light. I didn't take the best picture. She was trying to assault my plug-in Scentsy, and she won one time, ripped it out of the wall and threw hot wax all over my laptop because I wasn't paying enough attention to her. Here, pretty self-explanatory. That's 50% of the time that they're on my desk. That's actually on my desk next to me because they have to sit there. The only way to get them to let me work is to put a blanket next there so they can sit. And then they start squabbling because that's what siblings do. And then here, she was the 7th pair of earbuds she destroyed in about a 2-month period. It took her about 30 seconds to do that, and she was very innocent about it, didn't think it was her fault. So here's more evidence of them getting into everything. Shazam lived at this house his whole life. He's an adult here. He's a big boy. You can see he's actually a pretty big cat. He decided he needed to explore everything again one day. Over here, here's a raccoon that came up to my back door. Aurora was very adamantly telling it that it was her territory and she really didn't care. If I opened that door, she would have went to go see it and it would have ran away. I've had them hiss at the raccoons before, like through the screen door, and the raccoons run away. And then they also do that.
That's donuts on the floor. Okay.
Yeah, I got that picture from my brother with a expletive that I will not repeat in class. But those were expensive too. He was really not happy with the cat that morning. So, bathing. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard, oh, you don't bathe the cat, you don't bathe the cat, you don't have to do that. Why are you bathing him? You have to. Now, these are not mine. I just thought it was a cute picture how they put a little shower cap with plastic wrap over their ears. You don't want to get water in their ears when you're bathing them. But they have a natural buildup of oils and sweat on their skin that cats with fur don't have. Their fur soaks up those natural oils and body secretions. The Sphynx obviously doesn't have that. So yes, they groom all the time like a normal cat, but it's not sufficient to get that grease off of them. They will build up a brown funk and like dirty patches on their body. And later when I finish this presentation, I will pull out a couple wet wipes I brought to just show you how really dirty they can get. And it's not a joke how filthy they get. They stain half of my clothes if I don't bathe them. Anything white, like I have a white pillow that they like to sleep on, the pillow's brown. And I bathe her every 2-3 weeks in the summer, a little bit less frequently in the winter because they don't get as dirty because it's not as hot. But they get wet wipe baths at least once a week. They're not a fan, so it makes it more difficult. These cats are actually pretty well behaved in the bath. Mine are not so. Some recommendations I've heard on how to bathe one effectively, and it can go for other cats too. Laura, what are you doing? You're gonna fall. Yeah. Methods I've heard to bathe them: you fill the bathtub with water when they're not in the room, because if they know it's coming, make sure you can get to them, but if they know it's coming, they're gonna be more afraid. Put it up to their chest level with water that's just a little colder than you would find comfortable. Because if we want to be really hot and soak in the water and be comfortable, they think it's too hot and it freaks them out. So, and then you can put like ping pong balls and floating toys in the bathtub. It sometimes distracts them, other times they don't care at all. So, just bathing, big deal. And if you don't bathe them, some of them will develop skin rashes. The staining is more of an issue. They will stain your clothing, but some of them could develop skin rashes and skin irritations because they have not been bathed frequently enough. So their ears, I will also show this on Aurora too when we're done. Oh yeah, you notice I'm looking at you. They don't have cilia in their ears like normal cats do. There's no hair on the inside. So they cannot get all their ear gunk and earwax out. It has to be taken out by the human. Some people have to do this every 2 days. I do it maybe a little bit less frequently because she's just not as oily. My boy, very oily. It has to be routinely wiped out with cotton swabs. Epiotic is a good solution. It's branded for dogs, but you can use it for cats. You can put it directly in their ear canal, though they don't like it that much, and it helps dissolve the wax. And then I thought this was important to point out because I had one vet tell me, oh no, never use a cotton swab on your cat, and I've had people online tell me that's horrible, why would you do that? Their ear canal is at a 90-degree angle. You can see it on both models here. You'd have to work really, really hard to take a Q-tip and jam it into their ears so hard that you rupture their tympanic membrane, which is much down here. So you can't hurt their eardrum. You're not going to do it. I had one vet tell me that when I told her I was afraid to clean her. You need to get in there because that's where they get ear infections. They get fungal otitis. They'll get all sorts of nasty. If it gets into their inner ear, then you need a lot of medication. Then they get really sick and they're in a lot of pain. Otherwise, they're just very, very itchy. Claws. So not as obvious, and this is not the greatest picture, but it's the best one I can find. You can see all this black gunk on their claws right here. That's oil because, again, they have no hair in between their toes to push it out. It forms like a solid gunk on their claws. Makeup wipes work really well to get it off, because you have to take it off or it can irritate them. And it's also kind of gross. So, and when because they have a lot of skin folds and they're very wrinkly, they also get those oils wedged in between the folds. So in the folds, they get like little pellets, and you've got to pull those out too. So as I said before, there's some general health concerns with the Sphynx, which is why they scored a 2 over here. I could talk for hours about the different things these cats can be, what they can come down with, but just for brevity's sake, I picked a couple of the biggest ones, and I'll give a general overview of them. So feline hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. I think, yeah, I spelled it out up there. We talked a little bit about it when we talked about blood and cardio stuff. But it's considered the #1 congenital defect and the #1 presenting heart disease in all cats. So it's not just a breed thing, but the Sphynxes are very predisposed to it. The big issue is it causes the heart wall to thicken so much, and it causes the ventricles and the atria to thicken so much that they can't pump blood anymore, and it causes heart failure. There are several different cat breeds that are predisposed to it, including the ragdoll, the Persian, the Norwegian forest cat. For those guys, they actually identified a gene in their genome that causes HCM. It's directly related to it. Breeds like the Sphynx, the Devon Rex, the Cornish Rex, some of the other ones that don't quite have a lot of hair, the big furry ones they got, the other ones they didn't. We don't know the gene, so we can't test for it. So the only way to test for this disease is, this cat is actually in heart failure. You can see it's in a large cardiac silhouette. This heart's way too big in there. But in order to detect it early enough, it's really hard. Most cats show no symptoms. The first symptom is sudden death. And not great.
And that's the last symptom too.
First and last symptom is sudden death. But sometimes the vets can catch, they'll hear like a heart murmur, or their heart will be galloping, or there's some kind of heart abnormality that they hear on a routine check, which is why you should always have your cat routinely checked, whether it's a purebred or not. They're still predisposed to this. Again, it's the #1 cardiac disorder in cats. It's always fatal, and I recently did a paper on it. There's really no great treatment options, but you can slow heart failure down if you catch it early enough. There's some pharmacologic agents that do actually really help the animals with their quality of life. And they can live 3-4 years after being diagnosed with heart failure if you treat them correctly. So skin disorders, someone asked about that earlier. Yes. This is a picture. It's either an allergic reaction or a fungal infection. There was no caption with the picture. I just found it online. But they obviously have some kind of issue going on. That honestly looks like an allergic reaction to me, probably to grain or some other dietary issue. So that can be treated, obviously, if you go to the vet and get the proper medication. And then sunburn. I found this picture online. Sphynxes absolutely can get sunburn, and many people don't think about it. Obviously, the darker colored ones, less of a chance, but the lighter colored ones, if they sit in the sun too long or they have no way to get out of the sun, they will burn. And this is a picture of a very sad looking little guy who had sunburn. And the caption I found in the picture, the lady who had him was horrified, felt so bad for him. Doesn't know why he didn't move out of the sun, because most of them will. They're not stupid animals. Feline acne. Now, sphinxes, especially, you can see it, but they don't always, other cats can get it too. These guys just, again, they're oily, they get it. So this one really here is not easy to see, but that looks like a giant whitehead or cyst on their lip. And those will crop up in a matter of days, and they can get really bad if you don't deal with it. People don't recommend squeezing their zits. I believe that if the animal's in pain and it can't open its mouth because it's so big, wash your hands, use alcohol, use clean things, and you can pop that on them, and they know when they're helping. They know when you're helping. Rora sat there and let me squeeze out an enormous amount of pus and didn't cry once because she knew I was helping her. So she's had one of those, and my boys had a couple. It's just a natural part of having them. But a good way to combat that is make sure you clean them. You can use baby safe soap or astringent on their chins. Chins and tails are extremely prone to it, especially in the shorter haired or the shorter fur rat tails that some of the Canadians and mostly the Dons have. They can get what's called stud tail, and that's a whole ton of blackheads on their tail. So keeping them clean will help prevent that. This guy's got a really bad case of it. He probably has something else going on, like he's hypersecreting oil, but it's a good, that's a giant blackhead right there that you can see. You can see he's got them all over. Mostly chins. Chins are the big spot they get them. Rora has a ton on her chin, but they're blackheads, and there's no really great reason that she needs to have them off. She's not a show cat. And here she is. So, irritable bowel disorders is a kind of an umbrella term. It's just they'll diagnose them with an irritable bowel disorder, but could be a ton of things going on. And this is a big topic, so just a brief overview will have to suffice. So that looks like a very unhappy intestine. Here you can see it's, unless you know how to read ultrasounds, it's not easy, but you can see here's the intestinal lumen, and the intestinal wall is very, very thick there. It thickens during irritable bowel disorders, which causes all sorts of problems in them. They tend to have diarrhea and all sorts of horrible GI. They're very flatulent. They absolutely, you can hear them. They gurgle a lot when you pick them up, and it's not normal bowel sounds. And then they also have a lot of nausea, and they will vomit quite a bit. I had a cat with irritable bowel disorder, and it was terrible. It's a really hard, they have to be on special diets. It's not a great disease to get diagnosed with, and there's no cure for it. You just have to try to manage it with fiber and special dietary foods.
There's a question up there, maybe,
Oh,
Caitlin.
sorry. Go ahead.
So, like, if your cat vomits a lot and, like, you can hear this gurgling noise, do you think that's a potential sign of IBS?
Sometimes the gurgling is just bowel sounds because cats have very loud bowels, but it's something to ask the vet. If they vomit a lot, they're not supposed to do that. And if it's not hairballs, obviously I've never had a hairball problem, but they shouldn't be vomiting. So if there's a cat that's vomiting 2-3 times a week and they're either having a bad reaction to their food, they could have some kind of irritable bowel going on, and there's ways to treat it, but you've got to catch it early before the intestine gets so thick they can't absorb nutrients.
Yeah, because I've had these problems, so like if you change his food, sometimes it gets better.
Sometimes, like grain foods tend to irritate it more. Cats are obligate carnivores, so they have to eat meat. There's no vegan diet for a cat, it's abuse.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of foods that are grain-free, and it's something that pretty much all cats should have. They eat a grain-free diet. So another big issue in Sphynx is they're very susceptible to viral infections. That's the reason my other cat is not here. Shazam has feline herpes, which I will discuss. That's in most of the cat population, but purebreds are pretty susceptible to it. So some of the ones that they're very susceptible to are FIP, which I don't know how many of you guys know what that is, but it stands for feline infectious peritonitis, and it's fatal 99% of the time. It's an abnormal reaction to the coronavirus, which most cats carry. It's shed in the fecal material, and most cats just carry it normally in their intestines, and it's not a reaction. The kittens will be exposed from their mother. They might have a mild case of diarrhea, and then they're fine. But sometimes their body internalizes it, and it attacks all of their immune system. It attacks their organ system. It becomes neurological. They can have seizures. Their liver can fail. Ultimately they die really quickly, and we don't have a treatment for it right now. They also are susceptible to, obviously, feline leukemia, FIV, and feline herpes is a biggie for them. So feline herpes is what I know the most about. One thing I would recommend, I brought the medication that I usually give them because I believe that there is some, I believe there's some credence to herbal medication. Not all of it is, garlic will not cure your heart disease. You need to take medication. But taking herbs and other natural remedies have some benefit. This is a tube of Viralice. It's L-lysine. And the L enantiomer is much more effective. So you give this to them once or twice a day, and it boosts their immune system and helps them fight viral infections. She likes it. She's not the one with the disease. My boy who has it doesn't like it. So I just rub it on his side and let him lick it off every day. And if you put it on their paws, they'll lick it off. It's supposed to be tuna flavored. She loves it, but she's not the one that needs it. So I give it to her anyway because she's exposed. She lives with them. But cats. So that is, a lot of people recommend it. My vet recommended it to me, and I've had several vets actually recommend that to me when I was talking about the viral issues I have with them. So feline herpes in most cats could cause coughing and sneezing. They're very sneezy. They have nasal drainage. Yeah, you're going there now? Yeah, don't bite that. Be good. They have nasal drainage and eye drainage. Now sphinxes, a lot of them will get little eye drainage because they don't have eyelashes either to get the gunk out of their eyes. So a lot of times you gotta wipe their eyes out, but this is different drainage. It's more along, okay, you're up there now. It's more along the lines of, it's more fluid. Sometimes it's just a lot of gunk. And I routinely have to clean my boys' eyes out. And they also get eye infections and upper respiratory infections. The URIs are the biggest thing, and they can be fatal in some cats. So it's important to take them to the vet and get them properly diagnosed right away. There's no cure, obviously, for these viral infections, but it absolutely can be managed. They can live a very good, long, healthy life. So now some of these pictures are, on the next slide, are just a tad bit graphic, so if eye stuff freaks you out, you might want to be warned.
We can take it.
So these are, the eye infections are the biggest thing, and in 2016, Shazam had to have a eye surgery to remove a corneal sequestrum, which is a dead spot on their cornea. This is a picture of, this isn't him obviously, but that's a picture. They get a giant brown spot that's caused by a reaction to the herpes virus in the eye. It causes ulcers. So here you can see they stain the eye of the cat, and it's glowing there because there's an ulcer in the cat's eye, and where the cornea is breaking down. It's very, very painful for them, but cats are notorious for hiding their pain. Sometimes people don't even know. My brother and father, who lived in the same house, had no idea he was in pain. I'm just very in tune to what they're doing at all times because I don't want them to eat everything I own. So I noticed. Here, just nasal drainage. Sometimes they can get sores like this, but typically people, it's not like in people, they don't get sores.
She's looking for the laser pointer.
Yeah. So I guess I will do this for the remainder. This is one of the last slides. So with this picture down here at the bottom, you can see how it's going around the cornea, or around the pupil, excuse me. And you can see the vasculature going to the sequestrum. So if you don't remove it, some of them do have to come off by surgery, and unfortunately Shazam's did as well, because he had the vessels going to it. It's very painful. If you've ever had an eye inflammation due to allergies, you know what it feels like to have inflamed vessels in your eye. According to the vet I talked to at the Purdue clinic, it's much worse. They have to go in and scrape off that dead spot, and sometimes if it's deep enough, they have to take a graft of the cornea and place it over that dead spot. So fortunately, in my experience, I didn't have to have that happen, so it was a lot cheaper. But they put a contact lens in their eye so it's shut, and they have to wear the cone of shame for a little bit, and it can come back. That's the unfortunate part about it. If they get too stressed again, they can have a viral upflare again, and it can come right on back. Shazam happened to be, it took about 4 months to deal with that. He was on 4 medications every 2 to 3 hours round the clock. Fortunately, I was working nights at the time, so I was able to give it, and my brother would give it in the morning when he would go to class, and then it kind of all worked out. But it was expensive. It was very, very expensive. So keeping herpes cats very calm is a great way to keep them from having upflares. He had an upflare because he ate a piece of plastic and choked on it. So don't let them eat out of the garbage, and maybe you have a chance. But then that picture in the middle just shows a very infected eye, and you can see the green goop and stain that came from staining the cat's eye to see that it had ulcers. So, does anyone have any questions?
Oh, I think we got lots of questions. I think we'll just continue with questions till the end of the class. So who wants to start? I've got like 2 or 3, but
Go ahead.
This is just a question about her, but does she ever like do that chirping noise?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. She sees a bug, she's chirping. Like the curtain blows, she's
Okay.
chirping.
and so
She's
Caitlin,
not
repeat the questions because sometimes the camera won't
Okay.
get it. But yeah, that was the chirping
Yeah, she
question.
asked if
She
she does
does.
the
Yeah.
chirping noise.
Okay.
You had your hand up there for a while.
My cat has feline herpes, and I've never heard of these supplements, so what benefits do you see from them?
It keeps him from having up flares, and it keeps, I don't see anything noticeable, but when he's getting it daily, his eyes drain a little bit less and he's a little bit less sneezy. But he's a very sneezy boy, and he sneezes in my face all the time.
You should take a picture of that container
take a
because
video.
I've heard of this before.
It was like $12 on
Yeah.
Amazon, so it's not very expensive.
You know, this sometimes people would downplay herbal remedies or whatever. A lot of medicines have come from plants. So, I mean, so there is a basis for some of this stuff. Yeah. So
I've only seen one up flare from her in like the 7 years we've had her, and that was the first time we went on a trip. But
stress. Yeah, there it
nice
is. The stress. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice
It,
to see.
unfortunately, Shazam was free. So, and he had a very bad case when we got him. He had a severe upper respiratory infection, and his breeder actually was like, oh no, don't take him to the vet. Vets don't know what they're talking about. They just want to steal your money. Give him children's cough and cold medicine. That'll fix him. And that will shut down their kidneys and their liver. Don't do that. So, just as an FYI, no. But he had to be on gentamicin. Excuse me, not gentamicin, ciprofloxacin before he was 6 months old, which is very dangerous, but it knocked his infection out.
Okay. Other questions? There's one. I think we're over there.
Oh, so like when they play with each other, it seems they're careless when they get hurt easily.
They, a lot of times when they fight and they play fight, they're very rough with each other, so they'll have scratches. Sometimes they'll bite each other so hard there's bruises that show up. I try to separate them before it gets to that point, but they're both a little rough with each other.
What's their lifespan?
They, on average, live 12 to 14 years, some of them are a little longer.
Okay.
There's one that's over 30 years old right now. He's like Grandpa Sphynx, but
Wow.
that's not common.
So that's pretty good because you know I always say 20 years up for a regular kind of domestic cat, up
Yeah.
to So
So they have a little less lifespan. I mean, my oldest was 13 when I had to put her
Yeah.
to sleep, and she was just very, very old.
right. Okay, then what if you're in the market to buy one of these? I don't want to ask you how much you've paid for your cat, but I want to know like some range.
So on average, right now, pet price is $1,500, and that's not for a show cat, and that's without breeder's rights. Breeder's rights are an additional $3,000 on average on top of the purchase price. Shazam, I don't mind sharing, I didn't pay for him. He was $1,200 because he wasn't neutered when we got him. The breeder didn't believe in neutering before 6 months of age. So he had to, and he came to us at 4 months. A side note, Sphinxes cannot leave their mother as early as normal kittens can. They need to be there until 4 months on average. 14 to 16 weeks is typically when they can leave. Before that, you were there that long. Before then, they will tend to have either immune system issues or they will tend to have just anxiety or social issues.
So where do you generally get them for breeders, or do you sometimes get them for rescues too?
There are so few available to rescue, and a lot of them aren't allowed to travel out of state. I looked for rescues before I got mine from a breeder, but there just weren't any around. And right now, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 in the country that are available for rescue. So
Okay,
it's,
yeah.
sometimes you'll see rehoming, and people will do that, but you very rarely see them up for rescue.
So there are breeders, like maybe.
There's a breeder on the right by Chicago. There's a couple in Indiana. There's a couple in Ohio. So they're around. And if you're looking to get one, I would recommend finding a Sphynx-related website and asking people who have them. That's the best way to find a reputable breeder.
Why can't they travel across state lines?
They think it's too stressful for them. I mean, I got her from a breeder in Illinois. There's no law against it.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
typically if the cat's up for rescue, it's had some kind of abuse in its life, and that's just too stressful. And they tend to are the ones that have temperament issues. And some of them can be aggressive. I'm going to set her down on this blanket. And when I do this, she's probably going to scream. It's not hurting her. She's incredibly vocal. Yeah, you know this is. No, she's just gonna yell like she's being abused because she thinks she is. Yeah. They tend to get really greasy under their armpits here. Oh, you're being quiet, making a liar out of mama.
It looks like she likes it to me.
Oh, she hates it.
She's looking at all this.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
just from that little wipe, this is how much grease
Oh
is on
wow!
So you do that all over your body.
Hold that up
I will
again,
do-
Caitlin. Hold that up. Hold on. Got to get that focused. Yeah. Crazy. Wow.
She gets mad. That from that one little wipe, when
Wow.
I clean her, I will use 3 typically of these, both sides. They will all be brown like this. I have 2 of them. It gets a little
Wow.
pricey. But you can also use these